It's that time again. It's the podcast that takes your personal and professional life to a whole new level. Whether you're selling a product, selling a service, or selling yourself, one thing is for sure. You're always selling for life.
All right, and welcome to another episode of the Selling for Life podcast, sponsored by ConEquip Parts, a world of parts with a personal touch. This podcast is about more than just selling stuff. We think if you stick around, you'll get a lot out of it. I'm Steve, and I'm joined by business owner, entrepreneur, good friend, and AdWords whiz, Al Alexander. Whoop, whoop. And I'm also joined by philanthropist, landlord, and Williamsville South Billy's defensive back,
I was so hoping you'd get that in there.
Bob Lawrence.
Thank you.
Champion.
This is episode 35. So thanks for joining us. But first, let me ask, how are you doing, Al?
I'm doing fabulous today.
Yeah, how's your butt?
It's taut and tired.
But Al asked me to touch his butt today. I didn't know what to think about that, but I did. And his butt is hard as a rock. I was impressed.
Thanks,
you
Steve.
look like you've been working out.
You've been looking like you're working out.
I don't know what's weirder, me asking or you touching.
Both are probably on an equal plane.
Nice.
Bob, did you touch Al's
I
butt?
didn't. You were busy.
Okay, good.
So you were already in there.
Okay. Ooh, I was already in Al's butt. That I might have to edit out.
Yeah.
Al, you were working on something today. You guys had a little meeting going on with somebody. What was that meeting about?
Are we allowed to say?
Sure, yeah.
I think Google is what he's talking about.
Yeah, what was that meeting about?
Oh, we were talking to Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was about something had to do with Google AdWords or something like that?
That's true.
And why? Why were you guys talking to somebody about that? What are you trying to do? You don't have to give specifics, but Al, what are you trying to do with Google AdWords?
We're trying to get more and spend less.
Get more for less?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you got to figure out efficiencies, and Google's complicated.
Okay. Gotcha.
They have like I don't know if you heard artificial intelligence. You know, and I still hold true to the idea that it is still is not as smart as I am.
Okay.
What about you, Bob?
I agree with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there are some people you brought up about certain people set a certain setting and they can just leave it and be lazy with it. And our Google rep Gardo had a great response to that, how that's true. It does save you time, and that's time you can use in other areas of your account.
Okay.
True.
All right. Well, that brings us to the topic of the day, and the topic of the day is, I'm calling this the 1-inch punch.
Oh.
And that's because Al shared a story with me, gosh, it's been a year or two ago. Actually, I asked him to share it twice or three times, and I'm asking him to share it again. And it's going to correlate into what we're going to be talking about today. Al, I want you to tell the story of the 1-inch punch. Everybody bear with us. It might take about 4 or 5 minutes to get through it. I think you'll, even if you don't get anything out of the show, you'll get something out of this story because it is really funny. Bob, you haven't heard this story, so Al, take it away.
All right. The story is built up now, and I hope I don't let you down.
Wait, I have heard this. It's a great story.
It's a good story?
Okay, yeah.
All right. I'm about 19 years old at the time. A year into car sales, maybe I might have been 20 by then. Year into car sales, you know, getting in good with my sales manager who kind of came from the same area of town as I did. He's an older guy, gave me my first shot in the car business, and him and I run the same streets, you know, kind of, you know, we're rough and rugged kind of streets. There was this new guy, right? He was the used car manager. He walks into the office as my sales manager. He was singing my accolades of a previous evening we were at on Saturday night. This was a Monday morning. We were partying at a local bar, right, over by the Bills Stadium. So we're partying at this local bar, and a bar fight just, you know, it was awesome. Just kind of just exploded, right? And so my sales manager's singing my accolades of how I just took this big muscle-bound guy, and I was probably almost 300 pounds at the time, and, you know, just slammed him up against a dartboard and just pummeled him, you know? Come to find out he was like a sheriff or one of the local cops or something like that. Ooh. That didn't go well.
Oh, man.
My point is, During this, the new guy comes in, this used car manager. It's been there a couple months. His name is Joe Haas. He's kind of a famous guy around this area for cars. And anyways, let me describe Joe Haas to you. About 6 foot tall, kind of thin, but he's dressed like he just came out of Toronto. Okay. And you know what I mean if you've seen people from Toronto back in the 90s, right? Way more advanced in their clothing and everything. And you almost feel like, oh, he's kind of metrosexual, right? Mm-hmm. And he's very quiet and passive in the way he talks. All right. He's, he talks like this and hello. And he happens to be from Jordan. Okay. So he's got a cool accent, right? And, oh, that's nice. He's saying about me and my accolades that the sales manager is singing. And all of a sudden, that's not, I'm not really that impressed, And so
impressed about the fight.
Yeah. He's not really that impressed about the fight. And my sales manager is like, dude, Al will kill you, type of thing. Come on. I said, yeah, well, I mean, if you're interested, we can kind of exchange some punches or something like that. He's like, no, you don't want to do that. And I said, what? Didn't you hear? I just took these couple muscle-bound guys and just pretzeled them up and took care of them all by myself. And, well, I don't want to do that. I don't think you want to do that. And I'm like, no, come on, we got to do it. My sales manager's ramping us up. Come on. We got to exchange punches. And all of a sudden, okay, but okay, let's do this. So we stand outside his office, right? I'm squaring up. He's like, do you want to go first or should I go first? And, I said, I don't know. You go first. Well, okay. We'll do it like this. So he took me, right? And he, I'm standing in front of this office door and he moved me probably like 3 feet over in a counter or a clockwise motion and placed me, in front of these stairs that went upstairs to the break room. And I'm like, what are you doing? Well, I want to put you in front of the stairs and, when you fall, I don't want you to hurt yourself. And, I'm like, what? I'm going to kick your butt. Didn't you hear what I do? My punch is so rock hard, right? I'm standing there. He starts measuring me with his hand, right? Just, touching my chest with his fingertips straight out, moving his hand back, touching my chest. Are you ready? Are you sure? And he's with his so passive and calming voice. Yes, I'm ready. Just go where just come on. And I'm ready. I'm flexing my chest and and even then I could do a 1-arm push up. I'm just And he touches his fingers straight out to my chest. Right? Just touches me and he stands there squared, everything. Didn't have a stance. Not even a stance, like you're sideways, like, ready to hit something. Just straight out, square. And all of a sudden, well, it wasn't all of a sudden. I just blacked out. Okay. I knew he was touching my chest. And the next thing you know, I'm heaving for air on the stairs. Like what he said about the stairs being there, I was grateful. It was so true. I thanked him after for putting me in front of the stairs.
Trying to catch your breath.
Right. The problem is I started wanting to vomit. Right. So it was the worst feeling I ever felt. So he helped me. I don't think it was him. Some other guys were laughing their butt off and they realized I was almost dying and they carried me to the bathroom, right? It left me there for 15 minutes heaving like that. It was like my lungs had to somehow get inflated again. So I'm throwing up in the bathroom. I cleaned myself up. I puked on my tie. Thank God they had an extra tie for me. But I go back in my sales manager's office, right? And as I'm approaching it, there's Joe.
You're losing your voice thinking about it.
I know. There's Joe, right? And he has his foot. Okay, one foot on the floor. The other foot was literally on the door frame. Right above his head. And I'm like, what the heck? Joe, why didn't you do that before you hit me? Yeah. If I knew you could put your one foot on the floor and one foot over your head on the door frame, I would not have exchanged punches with you. I'm like, where did you learn that? He's like, well, you know, I trained for years with the Prince of Jordan. And I'm like, what? And I don't know if he was true or not. Or the Prince of Jordan. He was in the same karate school as the Prince of Jordan. And his dad's an ambassador. I don't know. My point is that one, he didn't need to do anything. He wasn't aggressive.
Right.
He just like, I don't know.
Oh.
It was crazy.
I don't know why. I'm going to ask you to tell that story at least once a year, somewhere.
You got to tell
somehow.
it in the sales meeting.
We'll work it into it doesn't even matter if it translates into what we're learning about. I'm just going to ask you to tell the story.
Let's hire an animator.
Oh my gosh.
Get that animated.
So that's the 1-inch punch, and this is a story. There's a few lessons to be learned here. One, for instance, is don't mess with a limber Jordan Prince. But beyond that, I think this story exemplifies how much you can get out of so little, right? Your friend there didn't haul off and clobber you with a wild uppercut or anything like that.
No.
Like he said, he didn't even get into a stance. Instead, he almost killed you with a 1-inch punch. Yeah. So when it comes to, let's even think about Google AdWords, right? You've got all this time and you go over these Google AdWords, but would it make more sense to have hundreds, thousands of keyword phrases, or is it important just to focus on the most important, the few?
Oh, okay. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to Google AdWords, the most, you're talking about efficiency, right?
Right.
The most efficient thing is within an ad group, right? An ad for you to have everything matching. So the word you're advertising, the ad you're writing, the landing page it lands on, like all matching in a very finite, organized way.
Right.
So, yeah, that is the most efficient thing.
Okay, so that's an example of working smarter. So with Google AdWords, obviously you have to be smart about which words you choose, try to weed out the ones that aren't working, and then eventually the feeling is, let me ask you this, are you putting more time or less time in it than when you first started doing the AdWords? Yeah.
Less time.
Okay. Because you kind of have to just maintain it, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of maintenance there. Is what the main thing is.
When it comes to many other aspects of life, a lot of people really today are overcommitted, overwhelmed, and ultimately overworked because they're not honing in like that 1-inch punch, all their effort and energy into one specific thing. They're not focusing on one thing. Their energy is just everywhere. They're just doing everything they can, and they end up just working so much harder than smarter. If you truly want to work smarter, you need to take a good hard look at your daily tasks and learn to prioritize them, and then you go from there. So, Al, why don't you tell me in ways how you have learned to work smarter and not harder?
Oh, yeah. So mainly my first thing, right, would be always do what you're really good at.
Okay.
And you got to have some self-evaluation. I think I always try to count results so I can really know what I'm good at, put my money where my mouth is almost. And then I just do that over and over again. I don't get very distracted from that. And if I need something to support it, I love collaborating, and I don't have a sense that I have to control it all and or build it all. So I think really just giving it out to people who have better talent, like Steve. You do certain things for our company, even personal things we've been involved with that I would never want to do.
Right.
Nor could I. I just don't have the talent. But that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Bob.
Right.
Bob, like while we're talking right now, Bob is writing code in some kind of database language.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, Bob, share a little bit of what you think about what means to work smarter and not harder.
What's really interesting, like there might be a job where someone could manually do it and go through, let's say, a report or a spreadsheet, and they could do it manually in 3 hours, and it's a one-time thing. But then the next time they have to do it, it's going to take them 3 hours, and they have to do that, let's say, once a month. If I can spend 5 hours and write a tool that does that job for them, and it's repeatable, and I pretty much have to write it once and it's done, I think that's really a way to work much smarter.
Okay.
Yeah. Legacy. With the AdWords, you asked now, all the work we put in, how much time do we put into it now? There were some campaigns I spent, 100 hours working through.
Right.
There's really a lot less work to do once you do some kind of thing that has legacy to it or has some kind of repeatable process, residual income.
So delegating and obviously getting people in position to help you out. Go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to say, especially if you can build a tool that anybody can use within your organization, it's that goal that Al always has of repeating what he can do, like teaching someone how to do what he did so he can move forward. And so building a tool that allows someone to run a report or to pull some data is really a way that's going to allow Al to move on to bigger and more important things.
Yep. I think controlling habits is a good way, is if if you want to work smarter, is to get into routines and force yourself to commit to positive actions every day. There are easy ones like getting up at the same time every morning, not changing up every morning. You know, not sleeping till you just wake up, having an alarm or whatnot, getting to sleep the same time every night. Even just a small thing like that, I think, can help this process. What else do you think, Al?
Can I share one thing about that? I
Absolutely.
think you have to evaluate whether the pattern you're creating for yourself works, though, because I always joke that you can be in a groove, but you can also be in a rut.
Okay.
And so I think evaluating whether that pattern is working for you is an
yes.
important step.
Very good. Yeah. So kind of keep track of whether or not it's working for you.
Yeah.
Al?
Yeah, the self-awareness. You know, we talked a few episodes ago about that, of self-evaluation, self-awareness, and knowing whether you're getting the results by what you want. But I stay up late, and I get up early, and I stay up late. You know why? I won't see my wife otherwise.
Okay.
I have a better marriage because I took away an hour or two of my sleep time.
Right.
And then I get up early when my kids get up, so that I can also send them off to school. So, but what am I giving up? So that my evaluation throughout even just that type of thing has been because of, you know, I want to be a better dad, I want to be a better husband, and things like that.
And yeah, that's one of the tips, is to prioritize. Prioritize the most important things in your life down to the least important. And in that way, you'll spend more time on, obviously, the things that are most important, less time or no time on the things that are not important. And that'll help you, of course, get more done. One other thing that I work on is trying to slow down. I'm going 1,000 miles a minute, and I got a lot of projects going on. And a lot of times things don't get done right because I'm just moving too fast. Yeah, and so to do one single thing at a time and not try to juggle too much, you know, that. What do you think about the expression multitasking, Al?
Yeah, multitasking. I like that.
Okay. Is that something that can be achieved, or do you think sometimes people think multitasking is the way to go and they end up doing less, trying to do more?
I think what you're talking about is transitioning quickly.
I think that's a misconception that you can do multiple things at one time. I think you're more right along by saying that you transition quickly to one thing to another.
Yeah, and I think that just takes practice, or it could just be the way you're made.
Right.
Some people just don't have the ability to do that. And if you want to have an ability to do that, that's great. Try to practice and work towards it. But I really think you're made that way.
Okay.
Like I have ADD undiagnosed because my mom refused to allow me to be diagnosed.
Okay.
The doctor's like, oh, you got to get that kid on some medicines. No. My point is I used it for my benefit, figuring how to master that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got ADD too, I think.
Yeah, everybody does,
Yeah.
sure.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. How long do you sleep every night?
Okay, I try to get 6-7 hours.
I get 6 too. Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah, about 6 as well.
Yeah.
8 is what I need.
It's
though.
our age.
Oh, that's what they say.
8. Well, no, I mean I need
No.
8. If
No.
I wake up at 7, I'm tired. If I wake up at 8, I feel good.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious.
No. If I wake up 8 hours of sleep, I'll feel horrible.
Well, that's you.
6.5, I'm ready.
Hey, Bob, check this out. This tip here is to stay focused and tune out the shiny new ideas until you're done. How many new ideas do I come to you, Bob, with every day?
Today, there were 4 today.
Too many projects
And I added
pile
3
up.
to yours.
Yes.
So.
Too many projects can pile up, and then you just have an unfinished stack.
I think it weighs on you too.
It
You
does
feel
weigh
bad
on
that
you.
you're not getting to those projects that you think are fantastic ideas.
Absolutely. And it's not just work related. It's like even just cleaning the house or organizing your garage. Bob built a tiny home this summer, and he doesn't have an unfinished tiny home sitting in the, it's done.
No, what I find, whenever I have a project like that, when I finished off my basement years ago, I committed to, 2 minutes every night. And that's all it is, just getting started. So I fool myself into thinking 2 minutes every night I'm going to go down and sweep. And of course, that leads to half an hour, 2 hours. So it's just that consistent effort. Even if I have to fool myself to do it, it works.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Technology. Sometimes technology can be a distraction. So people say to turn off the internet. Obviously, we need the internet for a lot of things, but it's so easy to want to check your email or check Facebook or all the other things that are going on when really we should probably be following up on tasks or going over, what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day or in the coming days.
I do habit stacking. Yeah. So like you're talking about like checking emails, checking things like that.
Right.
I do that while driving. I mean, I drive every day, so why not? I'm just joking. You can't check your emails while driving.
Okay.
No, but I every time I pull in the parking space, I just quickly go through, so I don't have to be slowed down when I get in the office by, so I'll check my email before I even get in the office.
Right.
But also exercising. I used to do push-ups and try to do push-ups, and then,
Sure.
I forgot to do push-ups today. Well, every time I wash my hands,
Okay.
I do push-ups off the sink.
Yeah.
It's not a full push-up on the floor, but it's off the sink. And if I did it 5 times a day, because you go to the bathroom probably 5 times a day, wash your hands.
You know what my wife does? It's really interesting. Every time she microwaves something, she works out with a gallon of milk.
So, Bob,
Like
is
pirouettes.
whole milk or 2%, or does it matter?
Whole milk. It's better for the kid.
Okay.
It's heavier, too.
All right.
Better for the brain when you're developing, right?
Oh, totally. Fat is good for your brain.
There you go.
DHEAs.
All right. Well, there's some tips for working smarter, not harder. And now our next segment is putting you in the spot, Al. Thought, feelings, ideas. Take it away.
Oh, yeah. Working smarter, not harder. The thought for today is, if you find a well-dressed Toronto-looking Jordanian with wonderful $2,000 suit and $1,000 shoes,
Cross the street.
cross the street. Do not challenge him. Don't look him in the eye.
I'd say also don't get discouraged if you're trying to work smarter and not harder, because you know what? It's a process. You'll learn your way. Whoop, you'll get there.
You'll do it.
All right. You can check out our website at sellingforlife.com. Also, find us on Twitter and Facebook. So remember, whether you're selling cell phone cases or you're trying to convince a larger human being you really can wipe them out with a 1-inch punch, one thing is for sure, you're always selling for life.